Every empire eventually collapsed. Every throne found a new king, and every legend became another page in history. The Stoics looked at this endless cycle and asked a terrifying question. What is the value of conquering the world if every night you return home defeated by your own mind? Alexander the Great marched across continents with an army behind him. Marcus Aurelius carried an empire on his shoulders. Yet Marcus understood something Alexander never truly mastered. There is no glory in defeating 10,000 enemies if a single impulse can still defeat you. A man who cannot master his anger will eventually become its servant. A man who cannot master his desires will eventually become their prisoner. A man who cannot master his fears will spend his entire life running from battles that exist only inside his own imagination. The greatest victory has never been over another human being. It has always been over the version of yourself that refuses to obey reason. Imagine a city protected by enormous walls, towering gates, and thousands of armed soldiers. From the outside, it appears impossible to conquer, but hidden beneath the ground is a single, unguarded tunnel. The enemy does not waste time attacking the walls. He quietly enters through the weakness nobody thought to defend. Your mind works exactly the same way. Life rarely destroys you through your greatest strength. It enters through your smallest undisciplined habit. A moment of pride, a careless word, an uncontrolled desire, a tiny compromise. Every empire falls from the inside before it falls from the outside. The Stoics practiced observing the movements of their own mind, not because they feared the world, but because they understood the world is powerless until the mind grants it permission. They watched the first spark of anger before it became hatred. They questioned the first whisper of envy before it became bitterness. They challenged the first excuse before it became another year of regret. They knew that destiny is not destroyed by catastrophic decisions. It is quietly rewritten by ordinary moments that most people never notice. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. When was the last time you observed your own mind instead of immediately obeying it? Most people have spent decades listening to every thought without ever questioning the speaker. Every craving becomes an order. Every emotion becomes a command. Every distraction becomes an emergency. Most people call this freedom, when in reality they are being controlled by impulses that change from one hour to the next. A slave obeys his master. The undisciplined obey their impulses. The difference is only visible from the outside. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, not because he lacked wisdom, but because he refused to trust an unguarded mind. Every morning, he trained it. Every evening, he examined it. He treated his character the way a warrior treats his sword, never assuming yesterday's discipline would be enough for today's battle. Because neglect is silent. Rust never announces its arrival. It simply appears one day where strength used to be. Character decays the same way. Not through one great betrayal, but through thousands of moments when you stop paying attention. The world cannot truly control a man who has learned to govern himself. It can take his comfort, but not his courage. It can take his possessions, but not his principles. It can wound his body, but it cannot command his soul. That is why the Stoics never measured power by the number of followers, the size of an empire, or the weight of a crown. They measured it by one question alone. When temptation, fear, pain, and comfort all speak at once, whose voice does your mind obey? There are two deaths waiting for every human being. The first is invisible. It happens when a man stops growing, stops questioning himself, and quietly accepts the limits of the person he has become. The second is the one people fear, the day the body takes its final breath. The Stoics believed the first death is the true tragedy, because millions reached the second without ever realizing they died long before it arrived. Marcus Aurelius woke each morning knowing this day could be his last. Yet he did not let that thought fill him with fear. He let it fill him with clarity. Suddenly, pride became too expensive. Revenge became too small. Procrastination became impossible to justify. When you remember that life is temporary, every meaningless distraction loses its power. Death does not steal meaning from life. It gives life its meaning. Imagine a sculptor standing before an enormous block of marble. Hidden inside that stone is a masterpiece. But the masterpiece is not revealed by adding more stone. It is revealed by removing everything that does not belong. Your character is carved the same way. You do not become extraordinary by collecting more comfort, more approval, or more excuses. You become extraordinary by cutting away everything that weakens your soul. The Stoics understood that transformation is not the process of becoming someone else. It is the process of killing everything inside you that was never truly you. Kill the excuse before it becomes your identity. Kill the resentment before it becomes your personality. Kill the fear before it becomes your future. Kill the need for approval before it becomes your prison. Every day something inside you must die, or the person you could become never gets the chance to live. Most people spend their lives protecting the very version of themselves that is holding them back. They polish their chains. They decorate their cages. They memorize the story of why they cannot change. The strongest people in history were not those who refused to change. They were the ones willing to destroy the old self without mercy whenever truth demanded it. Your greatest enemy has never been another person. It has always been the version of yourself that chooses comfort over character. Years from now, when your life is reduced to a handful of memories and a name carved into stone, which version of you will history remember? The one who waited, the one who complained, the one who negotiated with weakness, or the one who looked directly at his own flaws, burned away every excuse, and became someone even fear could not command? Stoicism was never about becoming fearless. It was about becoming truthful. And the day you become completely honest with yourself is the day nothing in this world can truly defeat you anymore. Every lesson pointed toward the same truth. Your greatest enemy was never the world. It was the weaker version of yourself, the one that chose comfort over courage, excuses over action, and fear over growth. Marcus Aurelius understood that life does not reward good intentions. It rewards disciplined action. The world may never remember your words, your excuses, or your plans, but it will always remember the character you built through the choices nobody else ever saw. Make one promise before you leave. Kill the old you. Master your mind. Guard your time. Live by your principles. And every single day become someone your future self would be proud to meet. Because in the end, the greatest victory is not conquering the world. The greatest victory is conquering yourself.